Hello and welcome to The Big Picture. After years of efforts to work out a peace accord in Nagaland, the centre has been able to finally work out an accord with the National Socialist Council of Nagaland on Monday. This accord has been in the making for years, with Prime Ministers from P.V. Narasimha Rao to the present Prime Minister Narendra Modi actively involved in it. The accord signed on Monday in the presence of Prime Minister Modi and NSCN IM Chief Tiangaleng Muiwa is being seen as a crucial one, not just for Nagaland, but for the entire Northeast. However, at the same time, there is caution on the part of people and governments of Manipur, Assam and Arunachal Pradesh as they try to figure out the entire nature of the accord. We will discuss today what this accord is and what it means to Nagaland in particular and the entire Northeast in general, and see if this could be the harbinger of peace to the region. To discuss this, I have with me nephew Rio, MP and in the Lok Sabha belonging to the Nagaland People's Party, and who was the Chief Minister of Nagaland for 11 years from 2003 to 2014. Ian Ram Mohan, former Director General BSF, Bharat Bhushan, Editor Catch News, and Kishalai Bhattacharjee, former Chair Internal Security and Senior Fellow at the ITSA. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Rio, you think, are you satisfied with this accord?
Well, for a very long time, the state government, my party and under my leadership in the state, we have been playing the part of a facilitator, and finally some agreement has been made, the Naga Peace Accord. So this is just a broad-based framework, so, and the details will come in. But anyway, we welcome the agreement and we appreciate the leadership of Modi ji and hope things will work out.
How much was the Nagaland People's Party involved in this exercise?
Well, during my term, we formed 60 members, MLAs, as a joint legislative forum, where we had committed ourselves.
That is an all-party forum?
All-party forum. And we have come to Delhi, talked to UPA and oppositions and all the major political parties. And even we had mentioned in our manifesto in 2008, 2013, that if honorable settlement come about, we are ready to resign, pave way for the alternative arrangement. So it is an opportunity for the Nagas to come together, work out a solution to bring peace so that we can march forward, not only in Nagaland, but the Northeast.
You think this is an honorable accord?
But that will be visible only when the nitty-gritties, details is worked out.
Bharat, what are the nitty-gritties of this? There still a lot of people have, confusion. There is a certain amount of confusion, doubts. People are cautious still.
Well, there should be no confusion. I think the Naga demands basically have been of two kinds. One, the political status of the Nagas. The Nagas have also always said that they have not been a part of India either through conquest, consent or accession. So they want to renegotiate the relationship with India. So that's the political part. Then there is the part about integration, where they say that the state was created in an ad hoc manner, with areas being added to it time and time again. But it left Nagas outside Nagaland. So there are Nagas in Manipur, there are Nagas in Arunachal Pradesh, some of them in Assam. So the second demand was of integration of all these Naga areas into one political entity. So these are the two demands. So there's no confusion about the demands per se.
As far as demands are concerned, there is no confusion.
Yeah.
But what is the accord?
Accord, we don't know the details. But from what one hears, the accord is that on the political side, the federal relationship with India is being renegotiated, which means that you decide on the subjects that are given in the union list, the concurrent list and the state list, and decide what is it that the Nagas will control, what is it that the centre will control, and what is it that they will jointly control. That is the political part. The integration part, while Government of India, from what one hears, has not rejected integration per se, integration will remain a live issue on the negotiating table. But since there is no political consensus in the states which would stand to lose out territory if there was such integration, and which may lead to tensions locally, that issue will not be settled just now. Instead, there would be political integration, not geographical integration, but political integration through the creation of an appropriate body, say a Pan-Naga Council, which is the elected body where Nagas in the contiguous areas send representatives, which looks after not only the cultural aspects of Naga identity, but also has financial powers. And within these states, you give them a certain autonomous entities. I'm not calling them autonomous councils because autonomous councils are often created under Schedule 6. This is not a
This is not under Schedule 6.
No.
This is not under Schedule 6. Okay. So, would you agree with whatever he has said? You know, is that some kind of the framework which has been worked out?
As of now, what we understood unofficially are on that line.
Okay, Kishle? Kishle, is that, you know, does it mean that the greater Nagaland demand has been given up and you know, what Bharat says that some kind of a political arrangement will be made, is that some kind of, you know, decision which has been taken now?
Well, what I have been told by the architects of the agreement that Greater Nagaland apparently was not a term that was coined by the NSC and IM or was a term in the Naga political process. What they always mentioned was the word integration, and they wanted to probably now define integration in a new way. You can define integration in many ways. So they've agreed more or less to say that there will be cultural integration, linguistic integration, but both sides have come to an agreement that there will be no geographical integration as of now. So I think that point has been clarified by the people who have you know, been part of this agreement, that what we understood by Nagalim or the Greater Nagaland or the integration of the Naga inhabited areas of the neighboring states of Nagaland, that is not happening now. They have the NSC and IM, and one thing that I need to flag out here, which the government of India has categorically said, that it was not talks only with the NSC and IM as a faction. The NSC and IM was only a representative of the Naga political issue, which has been there for the last 6 decades. And all stakeholders, except for NSC and K, of course, nephew Rio would be able to clarify this better, but as far as the government is concerned, all stakeholders or civil society, non-civil society, government, student bodies in Manipur and in Nagaland were on board, and they all had given the mandate to the government of India to be able to talk to the NSC and IM who were representative. So it was not really the government of India talking to one faction of a militant outfit.
Okay.
It was about the Naga political process. So these are the two things that have emerged from the agreement, really.
Okay. Mr. Rio, would you agree with that? Were all stakeholders taken into account? Because there's still, you know, there's still doubts coming from Manipur and Assam and things like that.
Well, 31st July, there was a consultative meeting in Kohima. All the legislators, including the 2 MPs, also civil society students.
Of Nagaland.
Yeah.
Right.
And we went. We had a consultative meeting, and the 5-point resolution passed in the assembly was also endorsed, and it's very clear that the civil societies, they support the peace process. And when
what about, the question is, what about the other states, the neighboring states?
No, you see, there's still time to discuss.
No, but the question is, have they been taken on board while finalizing this accord?
Well, I don't know the details, but you are aware, you see, we can change friends, but we cannot change our neighbors. So we have to take the goodwill of them, including the Nagas in Myanmar. We are talking about Kaplan group. But though he had brokered the ceasefire, I think the goodwill of Nagas in India and also Nagas in Myanmar, there has to be a goodwill of one another, and then settlement should come on both sides, because it's a different entity and a different country.
Okay. Mr. Rammohan, how do you look at this accord? One. Second thing is,
I'm not aware.
There were different groups, but you know, it was seen as Muiwa being the head, you know, Muiwa faction being the biggest, largest group. So the government has been able to deal with them. But do you think the other groups will be taken care of?
See, I'm from Assam Kada, and I've worked in all these areas.
Right.
I operated in Nagaland, operated in Manipur. I was advisor to Governor of Manipur too during President's rule. I know I'm not clear about one thing in this case. You are making an accord about people who are scattered in 3 different states.
Right.
Nagaland.
If you don't take note of
One is
Myanmar.
Manipur, and Myanmar is another country. The
Correct.
question simply does not arise unless you have some international agreement.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to change the international border. The interstate border itself is a problem for us. How is Assam going to agree? How is Manipur going to agree? On this issue, on this particular issue? And whatever has been announced till now, there's nothing come out about what is the kind of arrangement which is to be done between these three states. How much can be given and how much can be taken. So unless that is clear, we will not be able to say anything on this issue.
Bharat, is there a clarity, about these things which Mr. Ramon is talking about to a certain extent? Because I'm sure when the accord was signed, all these things would have been taken into consideration. And why is it that the accord has not been publicly declared?
There are two things. First of all, please understand that NSC and IM is not a faction. It's not one small group. It was the largest insurgency in India's northeast.
Right.
The negotiation was with NSC and IM.
But Picutre says that all groups have been taken into account.
Let me just say something. When 1997 the ceasefire began, it was with NSC and IM. It was not with civil society organizations. It was not with Naga Mothers organization. It was not with anybody else. The final agreement has been signed by NSC and IM.
Yeah, right.
Now this NSC and IM earlier had complete disregard for civil society people, for people who were dissenting. Over time, NSC and IM has also grown to appreciate politics, appreciate democracy. There was a time when Mr. Muiva used to say, who are these people? And later on he started saying that I cannot take a step without the consent of civil society and the Naga people, that I can't get ahead of them.
So he has moved quite a bit.
He has moved. So who has brought civil society on board? It's NSC and IM which has brought civil society on board. If we today say Government of India has done this, then Government of India ought to have been talking to civil society all this while. They weren't doing that. So there are Naga stakeholders in India. The so-called stakeholders in Myanmar, that Khaplang group has split. The Indian Nagas of the Khaplang group are in India now. Kitovi Zimomi and Wangtin Naga group, they are in India. They were camping here in Delhi in the month of July. They were told this is happening, that they may be unhappy. Later on, they would also be brought in. Then the question is of other stakeholders, that is other states.
Other states.
So what are other states losing? They're losing nothing. They're not losing territory as of now. If the Nagas in the hills of Manipur have an autonomous body, manage their own affairs, open their schools, run their hospitals, look after their affairs, how does it affect the health of Imphal? They can send representatives both to the autonomous body and Pan-Naga Council, and they can also have MLAs sitting in Imphal. They're not leaving Manipur, they're not leaving India. I think it's a very creative solution, and there should be no apprehension in the minds of the neighboring states. Manipur Nagas stay in Manipur, Arunachal Nagas stay in Arunachal, Assam Nagas stay in Assam.
Yeah, Kishle, you want to intervene?
Yeah, no, I agree to what you're saying exactly, but to also repeat that we know for sure that there will be no geographical integration, and so the neighboring states need not fear that any territory is going to be taken away from them, really. The other thing which has been told to us about the agreement, because the details are going to be worked out over the next 2 weeks before it's presented to the parliament, but the one thing that I had asked them was that will they be disbanded, because they are one of the the strongest guerrilla force that we have out there, and the NSC and IM has been using that legitimate power of walking around with arms and with impunity, carrying out they almost ran a regime of illegal activities.
A parallel government.
The government of India was very categorical that they have to give up all their arms and they have to stop all legal activities.
Okay, Stereo.
Yes.
Are you confident of that this group, this whole parallel thing which was being run there will be dismantled and they will become part of the political process?
You see, as you had stated, the IM group is the largest and who carries the issues. The government of India, in this ceasefire and political dialogue, they had recognized Naga issue as a political issue by Narasimha Rao. Then the uniqueness of Naga history is recognized by Vajpayee ji. And taking this into the process, so when those as political, it is addressed as a historical uniqueness, it is addressed. And therefore, Prime Minister was very kind to state that to restore the pride and prestige, and then we'll work with equal partners, sharing, developing the Northeast, the Nagaland, and also the country. So I feel it is quite positive. So we should give this accord a chance, and all right-thinking people, peace-loving people, should come on board. And of course, it needs a lot of discussion and understanding of one another and brotherhood. So I feel it's a huge move.
It's a huge move. Mr. Rammohan, what will be the, let us assume that this will all work out fine. There was an accord in 1975 which did not work out later and all that. But let's hope that this will work out. What will be the, what kind of spin-offs do you expect from this?
I think a lot of study has to be done. There has to be a lot of give and take. I don't know how much every state would like to give. Normally they wouldn't like to give anything at all.
No, but as Bharat says that they are not losing any physical territory. So what is there for them to lose?
It is not a question of just physical territory. It's a question of administering a particular area. How does it work? 3 different states, populations identical. They have their own laws which are passed. Can it apply to this state? This part of it is not clear at all from this.
Bharat? Because there has been talk already, people writing about it, discussing about it, that, the kind of the different tribes, the different, their own tribal laws and things like that. How do you integrate all these things? I'm sure a lot of discussion must have gone into all this. Do you see, if you have to see some hitches, what are the hitches which you will find?
Before the hitches, let me just say that if you must understand the nature of Indian federalism, our federalism is asymmetric. Asymmetric in the sense that the union government doesn't deal with every state in the same way. Tamil Nadu is allowed more than 50% reservation, for example, but that item is put in the schedule of the constitution. Kashmir is dealt differently because of its history. The uniqueness of Naga history and the situation of Nagas has been recognized. But before this, we've also recognized that when it comes to personal law, that is marriage, divorce, inheritance, you can use your personal law. So similarly, what I'm saying is that there's enough flexibility in the Indian constitution to allow the Nagas to govern themselves in certain areas according to their own law. But in other areas, they would have to come under the law that is common to all of us, Indian Penal Code, CRPC, etc. But if the Nagas want to marry in a particular way, want to divorce in a particular way, want to inherit property in a particular way, allow them. So I don't see any contradiction between the Indian constitution and what is being proposed or is being discussed with the Nagas. The hitches could be in terms of the detailed proposals that the Nagas have made. They've made certain proposals on competencies. For example, they said that they own all resources underground, on the ground and in the air. Fine. Then the question is that how do you exploit those resources? Let's say oil and natural gas. Do you do it jointly? Does the Pan-Naga Council do it? Does it, or does Nagaland government do it?
These details have not been worked out yet.
And royalty. If Nagas own the resources, why should they get only 22% royalty like Jharkhand does? Why shouldn't they get, let's say, 80% royalty and Government of India keeps 20%? So these are matters of detail, and there could be some hitches there, but I don't think these are insurmountable issues.
As far as the broad agreement is concerned, you don't see any problem in that?
I don't see. I am extremely hopeful of this agreement.
I'm not too sure, see, because unless we know how this is going to be adjusted, it is very difficult to comment.
Okay,
This is an entirely new ground we are approaching now.
Mr. Rio, you would agree that it's a new ground which is being approached, and dealing with other states, as far as cultural assimilation is concerned, that may be possible, but as far as dealing with different states is concerned, there could be problems there?
Definitely there will be hiccups and problems, but all these are we can be solved. And I think, see, India is the biggest democratic country in the world, and we should be accommodative.
What?
Be the central government or be the state, because Naga issue is not only Naga problem, it's a national problem. It's a national issue. Therefore, while addressing, I think people should be positive and try to resolve.
Mr. Rio, you think that this accord, if it, both of you are being very positive, even Kishle was being positive, Do you think that this will have some impact on some insurgencies which are happening in the other parts of Northeast? How do you see them being impacted?
No, I am positive about it. It will have impact because today's generation, they are looking forward. They want to be citizens of the global village. And therefore, when peace can come in such a Naga issue, which is more than 6 decades, in fact, it is a 80,
it's longer than 6
much
decades.
longer.
Yeah.
So starting from a Simon Commission,
right,
officially.
Right.
And when this can be resolved, then others, which is the problem is pre-India independence. Now what offshoot has come up, I think local issues and local problems can be definitely addressed because everybody needs peace. Without peace, we cannot move forward. We cannot give a future to the generation.
Okay, Bharat, why did it take so long for this to be worked out? What went right now and what was not going right in the past?
Several things went right in the present context. One, you had a government in Delhi which has absolute majority.
Right.
It can take decisions. Two, the government in Manipur is not of the same party that rules Delhi. In the past...
You mean Nagaland?
No, I mean Manipur.
Manipur, okay.
Each time there was any Naga issue and people were moving forward in Delhi, the local government would create problems. Can you imagine?
In Manipur?
In Manipur. Can you imagine that burning of the state assembly is celebrated as Manipur Integration Day by the government that is ruling there? So the local government today cannot create the same kind of trouble. But also what has happened is during this period of ceasefire from 1997 onwards, a whole new generation of Nagas has grown in peace that Mr. Rio talked about. They're all over India. They're educated young men and women who are participating in economic activity. They have a different worldview. They have a different view of sovereignty. They have a different view of India. The understanding of Nagas of India and of India understanding Nagas has improved over these 18-20 years. That has also made it possible. And what has also made it possible is that this leadership, which has led the Naga struggle up now, is aging. Yeah. They might as well do it quickly. Otherwise, there would be another generation of leaders to deal with.
Okay, Mr. Ramohan, what kind of impact will this have on the other parts of the Northeast? You think that, the other insurgent groups will pick up from here?
I hope that there will be positive impact, but there will have to be a lot of give and take by both sides.
Mr. Rio, what were the spin-off benefits of this?
No, it's a win-win situation for all the northeastern states because it will have a multiple effect. And everybody wants peace, as I stated.
Bharat, another thing which is being said is the Act East policy of this government, and Look East earlier, Act East now, had been hampered by what was happening in Nagaland and around. You think that will get a fillip now after this?
Absolutely, because it's got a security dimension, which is, of course, defense and that kind of security, but it's also got an economic security dimension. India's peripheries must stabilize. And if you want to stabilize India's peripheries in the east, you must negotiate with all the insurgencies that are there. Now, once you settle with the Nagas, the other insurgent groups, they will realize that Government of India is capable of settling politically rather than sort of using military means. So that will happen. Once that happens, trade and investment takes place in an atmosphere of peace and quiet and, in a nurturing atmosphere. It cannot take, investment and trade doesn't take place when there are terrorists around or insurgents around and bombs are going off and landmines are there. So this peace that will come to India's northeast will definitely contribute to India's Act East policy, integrate us with the growing economies of East Asia. I think that's a big achievement.
Mr. Ramohan, one of the things which has happened all these years in the Northeast is the complaint against the center, whichever governments have been there, is that they have been using force more than talking peace all these years. You think this accord has now come in? You think the other insurgents, it will be easier to deal with the other insurgents now, or you think that they have a completely different sets of problems which are not related to what we have seen now in Nagaland?
I think the other insurgents in the northeast are only in Assam.
Assam.
That is the
and after the recent experience of pursuing them and things like that.
Manipur, I don't think the insurgent groups are going to like this at all. They are all very looking inward, like the the oldest of the lot, PLA, the UNLF, the KYKL, these are all looking inwards towards the Maites. I don't know how they'll all have to turn around and come.
Mr. Rio, even as this accord was being struck, there has been some kind of a unity among all the insurgent groups in the Northeast, of which NSC and IM also was part. Now, how does that happen? What will happen there now?
No, you see, I think Honorable Prime Minister stated that the India had inherited the British legacy. So there was a lot of administrative demarcations, and a lot of Naga Hills also were sliced out to Assam from Naga Hills. That's why in 16-point agreement, integration issue came, transfer of reserve forest issue came, and all these are recorded. And therefore, now when the main issue, which is a political issue, is addressed, other issues I would not undermine, but I think they're not willing to continue to be in this condition. What about, forget about themselves, about their family, about their children, about their generation. They have to progress.
So finally, will you say that that demand of an integration of the territories outside Nagaland has been given up? Is that an issue of the past now?
No. You see, when the finalizing of that integration issue is not closed, and they had made a mention also about how to deal with it, it is still wide open. But in what manner it will be practical? How to run so that it doesn't provoke one another? How to go together? So I think...
how do you go together? If the original demand of Greater Nagaland, which Kichlai said that, they never used that word, they said it was integration. So if that is not given up, you think the accord can succeed?
To start with your Pen Naga of cultural body, and then rope in the tribals or Nagas of different states. And the mechanism will be built, which will not affect the state, but to satisfy the sentiment and the historical aspect of the Nagas. So I think, as I stated, it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Okay, Bharat, very quick last words to you. So you don't expect any hitches, major hitches out of this accord?
No, there will be hitches. But consider
major hitches I'm talking about.
I don't think so. I think once political integration, which is non-geographical integration, takes place, over time, the economies can become of these states so closely interlinked because of Act East and because of their own demand and development, that demand itself may become meaningless.
Okay. I think on that note, we need to end. We'll have to wait and watch how this accord will play out in the coming days. The details are yet to come out in the open. It will be only when it comes out in the open. Hopefully, there will be much more discussion, and hopefully there will be more peace in that region. We'll wait and watch what will happen. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture, same time tomorrow.